Hello there. Assalamu alaikum. This is Amnah here from My English Matters. And I am one of the co-creators of My English Matters together with my sisters, Madam Azima and Aisha. And what we do here at My English Matters is we help Malaysians and second language learners how to communicate better and how to communicate effectively in English. So if you're watching me, tell me where you're watching from. Say hi to me. I know that today's a working day. It's Tuesday. So how's your Tuesday? I also just came back from our quarterly meeting. We have a quarterly meeting every 3 months with the team, and we talk about what we're doing for what we'll be doing for the next 3 months and also 2021. Hi, Aisha. So say hi to me if you're watching me. And I love to hear from you guys because today we are going to talk about this topic of what to do when your mind goes blank. Okay, hi, I can see Rilza, I can see Nur Zafira, wa alaikum salam. So great to see you. So today we're going to talk about what to do when your mind goes blank. So this is something that many of our subscribers talk about. They say to us that they go blur. So that's actually a Malay slang, going blur. Blur is actually an English word, but using blur to say when your mind goes blank is actually a Malaysian thing. So they go blank, their mind goes blank, especially if they're speaking to somebody who is of a higher status or somebody whose English is really good, or maybe they are presenting or they're public speaking. So their mind goes blank. So in today's class, well, we call it a class, today's Facebook Live session, I'm going to share with you 8 tips that you can use, that you can do to overcome this problem of your mind going blank. But before we begin, I want you to say hi to me. And once you say hi to me, you can share this post, you can like it, you can love it. And then I also want you to share with me what kinds of situations do you face at work or maybe in your personal life also where you go blank, right? I mean, understand that going blank is not really just a second language thing. You can go blank when somebody asks you a question spontaneously and you're like, you don't know how to answer. But there's also this problem on top of that where somebody asks you in a language where it's your second language. So that's like 2 problems in one set of problems. So tell me, what kinds of situations do you go blank in? Because I want to get to know you. And I also want to, as I share these tips, I want you to reflect on your situation. Like when you go blank, how are you going to apply the tips that I'm going to share with you today? So tell me what kinds of situations. So I'm going to say hi to you. Hi, Sohana. When the topic is not our cup of tea, the mind goes blank. Exactly, right? My mind goes blank if people ask me about politics. Hi, Rosna. Hello, Muhammad Arifuddin from Alustar. Hello, Madam Azima. Hi, Suhaima. So great to hear from you, to see you. Hi, Nurul Irwan. Hello, Farahida. So any more situations where you go blank? Tell me before I share with you the first tip. Hi, Aini. You're from Klang. Fiza from HCTM. Where is HCTM? Can you share where that is? Hello, Ija. Hi, Raisha. Okay, so great to see all of you here today. Hello, Hassan. Hassan's one of our students. Hi, Fa'el. Walaikum salam. Fa'el is also one of our students. If you're one of our students, let me know. I know most of our students, the ones who are always commenting here, but if you rarely comment, I may not know that you're a student, but I love seeing our students here. Quaresta, is that how you pronounce it? Walaikum salam. Okay, let me see. Nur Ain says, when you don't engage in the conversation, suddenly they ask for your opinion. Okay, yes, that's great. Especially if you were not concentrating, right? You're not focusing on what they were saying, and then suddenly they ask you, so what do you think? What do you think, Ain? What's your opinion? And then you're like, what were you saying? So your mind can go blank. Let me see. Zafira says her mind goes blank when she's writing her thesis. Yes, I think that would be called a writer's block, right? So today it's going to be more about speaking. So it's not about writing. It's not, maybe that could be a topic that we teach sometime, which is writer's block, what to do when you have writer's block. I also have writer's block every single week. When I have to write an email to you guys, I always like, I'm thinking, what do I write? What do I write? But we're going to address that, what happens when your mind goes blank. So that also can be applied for writing, actually. Let me see. When suddenly people are asking a question and the word that I'm going to use is not coming to mind. Okay, great. This is also something that I'm going to talk about today. Istri Tuan Jalil says, when somebody asks me in English, I know how to answer, but I suddenly go blank on how to respond. Okay, Fiza says, Hospital Chancellor Tuanku Muhriz. Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. Mama Arifuddin says, my mind doesn't really go blank, but I can't really express the words or ideas in my mind clearly and verbally. Hope you understand the situation. Yes, of course I understand. You're not alone. Lia, hi from Savijaya. Okay, any more situations? Howard says, I'm an introvert. I go blank when I talk to someone I'm not close to. Yes, that's something I face also. When I'm not close to someone, I don't know what to say. But there are some techniques that you can use here that I'll share with you. I go blank when I need to reply in English. Okay, understand, because it's a second language, right? For all situations when using English language, Aini says. Okay, hi Siti Haja, great. Walaikum salam, happy to see you too. All right, so let's get on with our tips, right? Okay, so now that you've shared your situation where you go blank, as I share these tips, I want you to reflect on your situation and how you are going to apply these tips. Okay, so let me get myself ready, get the slides ready here. Hold on. Okay, what to do when your mind goes blank. I think I'll make myself smaller so that you can see the slides better. Right, what to do when your mind goes blank. Number one, tell yourself that a mind blank is not a catastrophe. Right, so I'm telling you now here to let you know that going blank is not a catastrophe. So that when you do go blank, you can tell yourself, okay, it's fine to be silent a bit. It's fine to have that awkward silence. Because when we are talking, it's normal to have that bit of silence where we are thinking about what we want to say. And also, if the silence extends for too long, we tend to panic, right? We tend to think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. I'm overthinking. What do I do? So I want you to tell yourself that it's okay to have a mind blank sometimes, and tell yourself that you will be able to overcome it. Don't let yourself go into that panic mode. Once you go into panic mode, that's it. It's hard for you to come back. So let yourself have that. Be comfortable with a little bit of silence in the beginning and quickly come back and tell yourself, it's fine to have a bit of a mind blank. You can go back, right? So that is the first tip. I hope that's helpful for you. Let me see some of your comments here. Yes. Thanks, Nur Zafira. Tell yourself it's fine for us to keep silent for a while. Thanks for summarizing. What is catastrophe? Catastrophe is like, in Malay, is like bencana, satu bencana. So catastrophe is not, having a mind blank is not a catastrophe. It's not a big deal. It's not a big disaster or bencana. That's what catastrophe means. It's not a big disaster. So it's fine. Even the best presenters sometimes have a mind blank, but they know how to recover. So when you have a mind blank, tell yourself, okay, I know what to do to recover. You know what to do to recover. You're going to apply the next tips that I'm going to share with you, right? So you have an action plan. So every time you have a mind blank, you tell yourself, okay, I have an action plan for this. What am I going to do when my mind goes blank? All right. Next tip is take a few deep breaths and relax. See, I'm doing that now. Before I began this Facebook Live, I also get nerves. I feel nervous. That is normal. Even the best of public speakers get nervous. It's normal. So take a few deep breaths. If you are going blank because you are nervous, take some breath, calm yourself down, because we tend to not breathe, or we're breathing really fast. That can also result in having a mind blank. So take a deep breath, relax, know that it's not a catastrophe. You'll be fine. Okay? So So take a few deep breaths and relax. And I also want to share with you my own story, because when I was in high school, I joined a public speaking competition where we had to compete with other schools in KL. And I spent 2 weeks preparing for that competition. There was a script and everything. I wrote the speech. So it was more like a public speaking where it was like a keynote speech kind of thing, where we're given a topic and then we had to write a speech for it and then we had to present. So I practiced that. I trained with my sister. I trained with my English teacher. And I had everything. I knew where to pause in my speech. I know when to smile. I knew when to use my gestures. I memorized every single part of that speech. But nothing really prepares you for that moment where you are live, when people are watching you. And I was on that stage. There were about maybe a couple hundred people on that stage. And it was very overwhelming for me to see that, when you're practicing, you can visualize it, but the real thing is never really quite the same as how you visualized it. And then what I did was, I took some time to look at my audience, took a few deep breaths, and my knees were like this, were like knocking each other. And my mouth was really dry. But what I did was I looked at my audience. I looked at a few people, so I could see a few people. I could see the judges at the front, and they were smiling at me. And their smile actually comforted me. So what I did was I connected with them. I smiled back at them. And the most important thing here is that you have to connect to the people that you're speaking to. So maybe it's not even a public speaking situation for you. Take the time to actually connect with that person that you're speaking to. And once you connect with them, you will lose that feeling of that panic feeling, that feeling of your mind going blank. So you just relax yourself, take a deep breath, and just go on with the show, right? So I hope that helps. So take a few deep breaths, because when we're nervous, when we are blank, that's because we're not really breathing, we're not relaxing. Okay, so that's the physical side of what to do when your mind goes blank. Let me see what some comments that you have here. It's always happening to busy mothers, going to the shop wanting to buy something, but suddenly we go blank and don't know what exactly we need. Yes, that's correct, right? So it also helps for you to just calm your mind down. You're so busy. So my husband always reminds me, he always says that, stop being so rushed, right? Stop being so kalut. He says it in Malay, kalut. Stop being so rushed, calm down, say Bismillah, and then, calm down and think about what are you doing? Why are you going to the shops? What do you want to buy? So that's really important, because we're always busy, right? Our minds is always going to the next thing that we want to think about, or the next thing that we have to do, that we forget to be present, being present and remembering what's important right now. Okay, so Nora Fatiha says that she's already doing tips 1 and tip 2 during her presentations. Great. Ji Heng, talk to me for cross-sell Zoom English. Okay. So anybody wants to cross-sell Zoom English can talk to Ji Heng. Siti Haja says, I go blank when I don't understand the words in English. Her English is poor. All right. Now, I'm going to go to the next tip, which is the third tip. Use filler phrases. So when you are faced with a situation where you have to go blank, I want you to try having some phrases that are ready for you, that you can memorize, and then you can use the silence, because there's a bit of silence between when somebody asks you something or you have to speak. You can fill that silence with some phrases to help you gain composure, to calm you down, and also to let the audience or the person that you're speaking know that you're actually thinking, right? You need some time to think. It also helps to fill up any awkward silences so that they don't feel so bad for you, and that you don't feel so bad about yourself that you're having a mind blank. So I'm going to share with you some phrases that I collected. So actually we have a lot of these phrases for our Communicate with Confidence students, but I'm going to share with you a few here that you can that you can write down. So make sure you have a pen and paper with you to write it down. So you can actually say that you are going blank. You can be honest and say, sorry, I'm going blank, right? You are addressing the truth that you are going blank. So it really depends on what kind of situation that you're in. If you are presenting, you could say this. That person, the people may understand that it's a highly stressful situation for you. It could be in a job interview, right? Sorry, I'm going blank. So it's up to you to decide whether the situation is okay for you to say, I'm going blank. So just being honest about it. Another one is, what do you call it again? So maybe you have forgotten a word. So you can say, what do you call it again? Right? Saying that can help you remember the word, and it can also you can also prompt the people that you're speaking to help you, to remind you what is the word that you're looking for. Another one is, how shall I put it? So how shall I put it? Meaning that you want to say something, you have something on your mind, but you are still thinking about how to explain it in a way that people will understand. So you can say, how shall I put it? Okay? Another one, give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second to think, right? So somebody asks you a question, you can say, give me a second. That helps you to calm yourself down and tell the people that you need some time to think. Another one, gosh, that's a hard one. Gosh, that's a hard one. So that is if somebody has asked you a difficult question and you honestly think it's hard, right? Don't pretend if it's an easy question or if it's an easy question, don't pretend that it's a hard one, right? Just say this if it's honestly a hard question for you. Gosh, that's a hard one. That's a hard question. Give me a second to answer it. Another one, let me think. Let me think. Well, and then you continue what you're going to say. So when you say well, you are prompting yourself to continue what you're going to say. Let me think. Well, Aini asks, can I use filler phrases for sorry, I'm going blank during an interview? Personally, I think that it's fine to say that because the interviewer will actually know that it can be, having a job interview can be a stressful situation. So if you genuinely are going blank, you can say that in an interview, right? And as long as you are able to recover fast, right? Sorry, I'm going blank. Or sorry, I'm going blank. Let me think about it. Something like that. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Let me see here. I think this happens to me because lack of confidence and lack of phrases. So Vaslina, try using these phrases to fill up that silence when your mind goes blank. Another one is, I'm still digesting what you said. So if somebody says, asks you for an opinion, you can say, I'm still digesting what you said. Digesting means like I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking. If you don't usually use the word digesting, you can say, I'm still thinking about what you said. Still thinking about it. Okay? Another one is, so let me see. So if somebody asks you for an opinion, you can say, so let me see. This is another one, is asking the question back. So if somebody asks you a question and you go blank, you can ask the question back. You can say, so what you're asking is blah, blah, blah. You are rephrasing the question. This helps you to get your thoughts flowing, get your words flowing out of your mouth when you go blank, right? So these are some phrases that you can use. There are a lot more. You can Google for phrases to use if you go blank. You can Google that. And also use the phrases that come naturally to you. And the only way for it to come naturally for you is if you are always saying them. So say them when you're at home. So be prepared for these situations where you go blank by practicing these phrases at home, so that when the situation comes when you do have to say them, you sound natural and you are ready. Okay? All right. Thanks, Muhammad Arif Fuddin, for sharing. Right. Another one is don't overthink or filter yourself so much. Right. I have a story to tell. Not too long ago, me and my friends, we were together and we were doing this exercise where we wanted to practice how we spoke, being able to elaborate fluently. So we did this exercise. You can try this exercise with your friends, where one person says just any random word under the sun, just any word, and then each of us had to elaborate. So there were like crazy words. There were like words like tennis, summer, nose hair. So these ridiculous words that we came up with, and then we just had to elaborate. We just had to share anything. Is like a session where we could practice how we spoke and being able to elaborate. And then one of the friends, let's just call her, I'll just call her Amy. So we asked Amy, so what's your word? What's your one word? And she went blank. And then we're like, just any word, just any ridiculous word, anything. And she said, I can't think of any word. And I know that this happens to a lot of people. And she said it happens to her because she was overthinking it. So she was trying to think of word, like one word. Okay, in her mind was like, okay, maybe I use this word, but this word is boring, or this word is ridiculous. This word is not interesting. She was overthinking it. And she was filtering herself so much that nothing came out. So it's good to filter yourself, but not too much. When you go blank, it's fine to let something out. Just let one word out or let a few sentences come out. So when you go blank, it's usually because it might also be because you're overthinking and you're filtering yourself so much. So try not to do that. Give yourself the grace to just say something. Okay, so you could try with the phrases first and then follow up with an explanation about it. Okay, so don't overthink and don't filter yourself so much. So that's tip number 4. All right, so if you're thinking about your situation, let me know how you're going to apply these tips for yourself. All right. Number 5, explain something in a different way if you forget a certain word. So sometimes when we have prepared, when we are an expert at something, say that you are an expert in accounting, for example, and then you're always using like big words, but then when it comes to having to explain it spontaneously to somebody, you forget that word, or you forget that term, right? And you get so hung up on it that your mind goes blank. You're like, oh, what is that word? What is that word? And then you're just focused on that word so much. And then suddenly you start thinking, oh gosh, I'm going blank. What do I do? I'm going downhill from here. I'm so nervous, because you forget that word. So try to explain it in a different way. It's okay if you can't think of the correct word at that moment in time. Just try to explain it in a different way. It's fine. We don't have to be so perfect in every situation. There's no such thing as being perfect in every single situation. You can prepare for it, but be prepared to know that a certain situation might not go our way. So just let it go and explain it in a different way. And also, what was I going to say? See, now my mind is going blank. What was I going to say is that you don't have to wait for the perfect word to get your message across. What's important is your message is received by the other person, right? Make sure that your message is received by the other person, and it doesn't matter what word you use, because that person will probably not even remember the word you use. They'll probably remember what you told them, but not every single word that you use. So try to explain things in a different way if you forget a certain word that you're looking for. All right, let me see. Okay, Arifuddin is doing a great job of summarizing for you. Thanks for that. All right, next tip, number 6. Move on and go back to it later. So if you noticed me just now, I was explaining something and I forgot what I wanted to explain. I don't know if you noticed it, but I recovered well. I think so. If you forget something and you're like, oh God, I wanted to say something. What was it? Your mind is going to go blank. So just let it go and move on to the next point. Move on to the next point, and then once you move on to the next point, it's likely that you're going to remember what you were going to say in the first place. Amma, close the door. I'm live. My son is here, and he's going to come into this Facebook Live and say hi. Okay, Amma, say hi. Okay, Amma, can you go and watch TV? I'm live right now. Everybody's watching. Okay, go. He hasn't even showered yet. Anyway, yes, move on and go back to it later, so that as long as your message is received by the person, it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. So you could say like, okay, I forgot what I was going to say, but never mind. Let's move on. And then later on, when you're talking, it's likely that you're going to remember what you're going to say. So you can say, oh, that was what I was going to say. I was going to say that, right? So when you remember it again, you can just go back to it. It's fine. Nobody's going to know that your flow is not like structured so much. Make it natural by saying, okay, now I remember what I was going to say. That's how you could say it. Arifudin says, hi, Amar. Yeah, he's gone now. Thank goodness for that. All right. So yeah. So if you can see, I've also applied some of these tips when I speak during these Facebook Lives. Like my son interrupting me and I was like, what was I saying? Can interrupt your train of thoughts, right? Okay, so move on and go back to it later. Tip number 7, retrace your steps. So what I mean by retracing your steps is if you are saying something and say somebody interrupts you, like just now, my 4-year-old son, he interrupted me. If you were saying something and then somebody interrupts you, and then your flow of thought is interrupted, and you're like, oh gosh, I forgot what was I saying, right? In your mind, you're saying that, well, I forgot what I was saying. Try to go back to what you were saying. Try to repeat maybe the last few words, or maybe the last sentence that you were saying before you were interrupted, so that you can remember what you were saying. So that's retracing your steps. Okay? Let me see. Any other comments? Do you want to tell me, share with me before we go to the last tip? So the last tip is this, using hand gestures. So I actually looked this up, and this helps me also. If I forget something, I use hand gestures. Hand gestures help me to speak more fluently. It helps the words come out of my mouth easily. There's actually a research done by the University of Illinois. They found that participants who were allowed to use their hands, hand gestures, like moving the hands, gestures means moving the hands, while they were recalling information, they performed better than those whose gestures were restricted. So what this means is that when you are speaking, try to use your hands more. I know that if we're nervous, we may cross our arms, or we may have our hands in our pocket or even behind, or we're holding something. Try to use your hands as much as you can when you speak, not too much, but use it to help yourself speak. And it also helps you to remember if you forget something, it will help you to remember something that you forgot while you were speaking. Okay, so using hand gestures can help. And overall, using hand gestures do help in speaking. It helps you explain better. It helps the person see what you're going to communicate. It helps using hand gestures. It helps me, definitely, I can tell you that. All right, so those are my 8 tips for what to do when your mind goes blank. So let's do a summary. What to do when your mind goes blank. Number 1, have an action plan. Okay, no, this is not number 1 yet. So when your mind goes blank, tell yourself, okay, this is my action plan. This is what I'm going to do when my mind goes blank. I'm going to call it an action plan because I think that sounds like something that can be implemented, right? So tell yourself that a mind blank is not a catastrophe. It's not a disaster, right? Number 2, take a few deep breaths and relax. All right. But don't make it so obvious that like you take a huge deep breath. try not to make it so obvious. Some situations, you can't do that. So just show it, just like breathe. Okay. Use filler phrases. So I shared with you some phrases that you can use to fill in that silence, that awkward silence. The filler phrases can help you regain your composure, and it also can help your audience to know that you need some time to think, right? And you will look a bit more confident when you use these filler phrases. Number 4, don't overthink or filter yourself so much. Stop overthinking. When you're overthinking, you will fall into the trap of panicking when your mind goes blank, right? Don't let yourself overthink for too long. Explain something in a different way, number 5. So if you forget a word, it's okay. Just explain it in a different way. I know that the word sound is really important to you. I'm like that as well. It's so important for me to use the right word, but sometimes I use the different word that I wasn't looking for instead, just to get my message across. And I don't want to waste people's time. So don't get hung up on using the perfect word. Just use a different word or explain it in a different way. And you can also move on. So you forgot what you were going to say. You can just say, it's fine, never mind, let's move on, and we'll get back to it later. So that's what you can do. Number 7, retrace your steps. So retrace your steps, that means you repeat what you said before you forgot what you were going to say, before your mind went blank. Repeat the last few words, or maybe the last few sentences, or maybe you could even summarize what you said before your mind went blank. And then you could go back into that flow. And number 8, use hand gestures. So use hand gestures to help you become more fluent and to help you recall information that you forgot. Because when your mind goes blank, it's very likely that you have the answer in you. You have it in your head. It's just that there's like this filter, there's like this bridge that's closing it. So the hand gestures can like figuratively open that bridge, so that the floodgates, for example, so that you're able to speak when your mind goes blank. Okay, so that's it from me for today. Let me know what you think about this. Share this video with your friends and family. They can watch the replay. And it's been so fun teaching you. I'll go through some comments so I can help you if you have any questions. Does living alone for a period of years affect our communication skills? Not necessarily living alone, but maybe when you don't talk to people for a long time, that can affect your communication skills. So if you are living alone, try to make the time to connect with people. It could be through the phone, it could be through Zoom calls. Especially, I know that during this pandemic, a lot of us, are living alone. So take the time, make some time to meet with people online, talk to people through the phone, connect with your loved ones, so that we're always speaking. It's really important for us to be always socializing and connecting with people. It's good for our emotional and communication skills. Okay. All right. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Rafizal and Shafra. Is that how you say your name? Right. Thanks, Muhammad Arifuddin, for also summarizing everything. Thanks, Fa'el. So it's been great talking to you. And we will be back next week, inshallah, at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. And inshallah, Madam Azima will be live and she'll be teaching you next week. And thanks so much. Oh, let me see. Mama says, may I know when will be the next lesson? The next Facebook Live that we're doing in our Facebook page will be also next week on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Same time, same place on Facebook page. You're welcome, Ija. All right, please. I hope you'll use these tips. Fira says, may I know what apps you use to go live and feature your slides at the same time? We are using StreamYard.com. So we're using that. We used to use BeLive, but we prefer StreamYard. So StreamYard, there's also a free version. So you could try that, StreamYard.com. There's a free version of that. We're using the paid version because there are a bit more features than compared to the free version. Right, let me see. Okay, thanks, Muhammad Hassan. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll see you next week. I will be here. So if you have any questions, you can always write to us at info@myenglishmatters.com. If you're not already on our email list, please go to myenglishmatters.com. If you sign up for our email list, you will get 7 tips to speaking with confidence, because this can be a complement to what you've learned today. We share like what positive self-talk, and we share like tips on how to use your voice in those 7 tips. And also, once you become an email subscriber, you will get emails from us every Thursday with tips and lessons to improve your English. And as well, you'll be updated whenever we have new launches, new products, and new classes that you can join. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So we really hope that you will be our email subscriber. So see you then. Assalamualaikum.